What do I do now?
What?
What do I do now?
What do I do now? Well, do you know what? When you turn pro, I was fortunate at the time that the next show after that was the World Championships. So I ended up in what was like a middleweight class, and I competed against a guy called Sean Wolf. I went over to Miami and competed in the 2014 DFAT Worlds, and I came second. So that was great as well to do that. First ever pro show, came second, and I mean I thought I was maybe going to pip him, but he was just a wee bit better than me. Very good competitor from there, and then it was a case of right, okay, if I'm going to be successful at this, then I need to take some time away. And it was a bit like that story that Dorian Yates says. If you've anyone that's ever followed him, it's a case of like, okay, you've put all your work and your drive into this to turn pro. Now you've got to see if you're any good at it. So you take some time away and you come back, and you better be making that top 5 or whatever at the pro show, because after that, if you're not making the top 5, then there's too much time, money, investment, everything to go into this to be competing. So I put absolutely everything into my next pro show, which was 2017. 3 years later, took some time off, finished my PhD, and just got bigger, stronger, better. And then on my pro debut, I was up against, British pro debut, Dave Kay, a guy who's probably the best natural bodybuilder of our generation, really. I wish he'd gone on and competed against more guys, but that's a different story. And then there was second place was Shane Raymond, who had defeated several times, a very good pro. I think I should have beat him, but that was it. And then I got third in that one, and I avenged a Rob Waterhouse defeat, who had beat me previously, beat him into fourth place on that one. In fact, you were probably at that show in 2017.
Was.
Yeah, well, so you would have seen it at the time.
That was the first year we met.
It would have been, yeah. And I remember there was a lot of noise about you. I was like, there's this guy called James Melville on the scene. You need to check him out. And I did. I was like, this guy's good. He's serious as a competitor, and you're shredded as well. And that commands respect.
Yeah.
So it does. Because I'd seen a lot of great lightweights as well. I was like, he's a contender.
I wasn't good enough from the back. From the front, I was pretty competitive, I think, in 2017. But
100%.
I needed more work from the back. But I remember that show, you guys walking out, because at that point I had only got exposure to the WNBF for the first time. I never even knew about natural bodybuilding before 2016. Sure. And WNBF came to Northern Ireland, and that was my first natural show. Yeah. And then 2017 went back, and I remember just sitting in the audience watching you, Rob Waterhouse, Dave Kay.
Yeah.
What was his name that placed second?
Shane Raymond.
Yeah.
What a competitive.
Just massive, big arms, just loads of density across the board.
People talk about great natural bodybuilders, and like I've been so fortunate. I've competed against some of the best guys in the last 15 years. Like a guy like Sutonya Dugubu, amazing about it. Shane Raymond, amazing. Some of these guys, if they rocked up at the WNBF Worlds, would be serious contenders. It's just a shame that the social media coverage back then is not what it is just now. And people often talk about, they think the standards are better than ever, but see at the highest level, some of these guys they would hang.
Yeah,
absolutely hang for sure. So yeah, that was a tough one. I went to the Worlds. I remember that year, and I competed against. I was in the heavyweight class, and I competed against Siobhan Cunningham, David Kay, and myself for the top 3, and I beat Shane Raymond at the World, so I avenged that one. And again, Siobhan Cunningham, bless him, probably again between 2012 through to about 2020, probably one of the most consistent natural bodybuilders on the planet. That guy won so many natural bodybuilding shows. Great bodybuilder. really good. Probably one of the best there was at that particular time as well. Really, really strong. So that was the moment I was like, right, okay, I can probably do this. I can probably be all right at this in 2017. And I mean, gosh, since then, I think I'm up to 11 pro shows.
Yeah.
11 pro shows. So I've done a lot. This year, the goal is to try and do at least maybe three
Yeah.
more. I feel if I could do 15, that could be a number to retire on, right?
You'll not retire, mate.
Well, do you know what? I was thinking about this. I was like, I don't know anyone from the UK who's maybe done. I was thinking it maybe Dave K, who's done as many pro shows as me, and we were talking about this in terms of like, I don't know if I like to use the words legacy. A lot of guys turn pro and then that's it, they're done. No shows,
Yeah,
they're just not good enough, to be frank. They realize that, they find that out. So I'm in a very small subset of individuals who have done as many pro shows, and I'll be in the 1 percentile of guys who have done as many pro shows in the UK, from the UK as well. So I've got a lot of experience in that respect, and we're going to do it all again this year's, which is a nice segue, James. Right?
unreal.
So what's coming up for you this year? What are you thinking?
I've had to try to fit my shows for the most part in around client shows because the Team Compound Prep Coaching, I think, with 26 or 27 active competitors this season alone, and it's trying to sort of.
How many? Sorry.
26, 27 in around there. So
good man.
It's we have a phenomenal team. The problem with that is it's a good problem to have. There's some shows that we might have 8, 9, 10 competitors at the same show, and that's on the same date then as some of the pro shows that I would have to travel.
Yeah.
So it's not feasible.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at trying to get a pro show in and around September. I'll also
there's the Spanish Championships. I've been looking at that.
I'm potentially looking at that. I think it's only one that doesn't really conflict with any of the athletes' sort of show dates. And then if I can move forward into,
I think I've got it written on here.
Oh yeah,
I've got it written down along with other nonsense.
Yes. So
12th of September.
That's what I'm potentially looking at. Trying to look at it logistically. And then the other scheduled show will be the PCA British. So that's untested in the Pro Classic Bodybuilding. And that's
27th of September, is that right?
No, that's October. It'll be October.
Oh, October, okay.
Yeah. So that'll be the British finals. And then obviously I want to finish the year in Calgary, which obviously yourself and I think we'll have a good wee squad actually going over for that one, which will be, I think, pretty cool.
So we're talking Spain, potentially WNBF championships. We've got the PCA British as the classic class.
WNBF Munich, hopefully.
We've got WNBF Germany. That's in, I think that's the 1st of November.
That's right.
So we're getting ready for that one. And then you've got the PCA British, and then we've also got the WNBF Worlds, which is in Calgary on there. I mean, quick question. What's a good number of shows to do in a year? What do you reckon for any competitor? First timer or experienced? Does it change? What's a good number, do you think?
Yeah.
I just had someone that told me they did 6 shows in 8 weeks. I'm like, don't know if that's a good idea.
For me, it really depends on the level of condition and that in alignment with the experience of the athlete. Like if you got a first timer and they are legitimately under like sub 5% body fat, trying to keep them there whenever they've never went through that sensation for a prolonged period of time, thinking maybe be problematic.
Yeah.
We know that there's hormonal decline whenever we're in those sort of proximities. So how do they cope with those components from a psychological perspective? I think can be very difficult. If somebody is a little bit longer in the tooth, like both of us, if we're
definitely along the truth.
Yeah, if we're a wee bit leaner, if we're in those sort of lean phases, we kind of are familiar with the pros and cons of being in that sort of physiological position.
Yeah.
So our coping mechanisms, we at least have strategies in place. Mm-hmm. We're surrounded by people that are, guide us right if we do need that sort of set.
Yeah, we keep each other accountable, right?
Yeah. So I think it does depend on those are the two main factors. For me, I did 6 shows back in 2022. 2024, I did 4 shows and a guest pose. And this year, it'll probably end up in around 5 shows potentially, I think. So I think if you're in shape, get a few shows under your belt. If you've got the finance, then travel particularly as a pro, we don't really have a lot of options, Andrew, as you know. We'll have to look at, right, logistically, where can we go? Then on top of that, as coaches, we also have to look at where are we busiest, and then what shows can I pick that don't conflict with my profession as being a coach to those individuals as well.
Yeah, I agree with really everything you've said there. I mean, it's certainly much harder for a first timer to manage themselves, undoubtedly, for the reasons that you highlight. I mean, hormonally, psychologically, coping, lifestyle, everything like that. But if you're in shape and you can manage it, and you've got shows which are maybe a couple of weeks apart, financially, it's not too stressful to travel, etc., then definitely get them under your belt. And if you're more experienced, you maybe don't need to jump into as many shows, and you can be much more selective. But there's certainly value associated with just the experience once you've been doing this for a while, right? Because if you can be with a group of friends doing this, your peers going around the world, I mean, that is absolutely golden. It's sometimes better than the actual show experience itself. I mean, if we think about young Connor over in Germany, and he said how much he enjoyed just being over there with you guys doing that, and when we're on a balcony drinking whiskey and smoking cigars, that experience will stay with him for a lifetime. So traveling internationally is something which is of value as well. I'm looking at that Spain show for sure as well. I've been looking at, but if I just talk about my plans on here for a second, I'm thinking that Spanish show, which is in September as well for myself, potentially looking at that one. We've got the WNBF Switzerland show. That is on the day before the German show. And I've looked at that. I think it's doable, right, to do them both. So I'm thinking about hiring a fast car and driving between Switzerland and Germany back to back, day to day. Just, I mean, part of it for me is like, I like the nutritional challenge associated with that. That sort of throws up like, okay, how do you manage water? How do you manage food? What do you eat? How am I going to get the recovery? And I'm definitely the sort of guy who likes to manage every single variable. And I like the challenge and thinking about how do we piece that together? Because I think I can be good at both of those particular shows, and they're back to back. So, and again, it sounds like an adventure. Try and do them both. I mean, it's a bit of a crazy story when you think about it. So I'm thinking the Spanish show potentially, the Swiss show, the German show, which will take me up to 3. There's the Worlds, which is 4. And then there's also the PCA Naturals, which is in September as well, which I'm thinking about as well, which would give me 5 shows, right? And I'm thinking the finance associated with it as well, because I have to work for a living as well. But James, get this. I've just been speaking to my friend Tim, who's one of the chairman. He's the co-chairman of NABA, right? And he's been saying to me, Andy, if you come down June this next couple of weeks, you could do the NABA Midlands show in the classic class, and we can give you an invite for the Worlds in June or July. It might be June. I think it's June. And I was like, do you know what? I'm not 100% in shape. No doubt about it, right? Right now, I mean, I've been sending you checking photos. I'm about 82, 83-ish kilograms. But if I'm cruising in just for an absolute warm-up show in the same way that you do like a guest spot, I might just do it because it could be quite good fun. And my expectations are low, but I do like quite fancy the prestige of doing the NABA Worlds because it's in Newcastle of all places. And that'll be quite good fun from there. So that could be another one to contend with on here. And there's strategy about how you approach that as well. Yeah.